You need to mute everybody.
Um, Let me check my. Where did my phone go? Does? Good. Thank you. That's what I needed. Good evening, everybody. It is the beginning of, well, not the beginning exactly, but it's the beginning of May 2025, and we are going to get ready to go with this webinar tonight. Screen number 3. I got screen sharing going. Y'all should see my screen. We'll do a quick. I need to find the PPD website because we have 2 announcements since it's the beginning of the month. Well, actually, because we are still running our sale on the PPD Sequence Club. If you are not in the PPD Sequence Club yet, by all means, now is the time to join. Meaning, if you're not in the club or not, if you're currently a member, if you're currently a monthly member or an annual member, this doesn't apply to you. I'm sorry, but if you are thinking about coming back to the club, or if you've never been in the club before, we're giving away 1,000 pixels for free when you join the annual PPD Sequence Club. It's $359. When you sign into your account and you upgrade to an annual membership, or you create a new account and sign up for the annual membership, you'll get 1,000 free pixels from Easy RGB. They're 12 volt regulated 4-inch spacing black wire pixels, phenomenal quality. I used them. For goodness sakes, my icicles were hanging, and they still worked good the second year and this year. So I had 2 years with them. They're running great, and I'm happy with them. So that's number 1. Number 2, I want to get into a couple normal things that we normally do around here. We usually do effect presets. There's a bunch of presets still set up in the system from last month and the month before. And then also on the triple play page, this is the beginning of the month, so you are absolutely 100% seeing brand new songs in the store. We have 2 new songs, Miley Cyrus, Flowers, and the song for the Guess the Sequence contest was Dan and Shay. It's officially Christmas now. I kept saying officially in the Guess the Sequence contest, but we were having a good time trying to come up with some good names. Now, if you are a former PPD Club member, you formerly were in the club, and in 2018 you saw my awful sequence called Snoopy's Christmas, the Royal Guardsman. Yeah, it's been completely revamped. It's like a whole brand new sequence, and it has a pro layout. So if you want the pro layout version, you can use this month's club membership to upgrade to the pro for $10. If you already got the original layout and you're just keeping that, then you can go download that. It's been updated as well. The lyric tracks are on there. In fact, that's one of the things that I want to mention too, is that a lot of the sequences that we've had in the store, we're in the process of putting them in the store, adding the lyric tracks into them, and updating them with the PPD wreath, adding in the pixel forest. Also, just in general, we're trying to get around and get everything kind of situated, add in moving heads, and really bring it into the pro layout that some of these sequences, and I'm actually working on one that I'm hoping is going to be another grand unveiling for next month. So that's one of the things that's on its way with a lot of the older songs. I can't do them all at once. I'm doing them as fast as I can. I have a lot of people helping me. So huge thank you to the PPD Sequence team. You all know who you are. Thank you. And there are a couple Megatree and Matrix sequences in here too. If you're a club member, you get discounts on those. But yeah, 3 new songs. Fantastic choices this month. Really good selections. Sherry, she's already showing off her. She really likes the flowers. And I can't complain there. We do have a guess the sequence contest. We're going to do that later. I didn't get a chance to get all the names put into the list, but I want to go ahead and get started with tonight's lesson on value curves. Now, value curves is something that I actually did a lesson on a very long time ago, but there has been something that's occurred over the past few months. We'll say we did an update with our Vimeo account, and I'm not sure whether they understood or not understood, but they whacked out probably 70% of the videos that I had done from 2018 to 2021, which I think probably a lot of people in the community are happy that they're not there anymore. But that's okay, because we can remake all the content. And that's what we're going to start doing. Is I have a whole list of new webinars and a whole bunch of content that I want to create as far as webinar series go, and I want to replenish and update a lot of that information anyway. And it's hard to always do new content when you already have good content. Well, now I don't have that content anymore, so what we'll do is we'll just start over, and we're going to do stuff like we're doing tonight, which is on value curves. So what is a value curve? Very quickly, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to create an animation, a sequence animation, and I'm going to click, we'll do 20 frames is easy right now. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a metronome timing track. Now, whenever you want to add a timing track, you can right click over the timing track, hit the add timing. And then when you're doing an animation sequence where there's no music involved, you have very few choices here. There's no sound or waveform that xLights can detect, so it only allows you the options that are tied in when there's no music. And what I want to do is I want to create a metronome track, and you can have it with tags, but I'm just going to do metronome track, and I'm going to create one that will do basically if you have a song that's generally 120 beats a minute, that's usually about one beat is every half of a second. So 1 second is 1,000 milliseconds. A half a second would be 500 milliseconds. So at least I think I did the math right there. If we look at, I hit the wrong key there. There we go. If we look at this should be roughly a half of a second. So 9.5 to 10, that's about a half a second, or about 120 beats per minute is what typically the modern pop song will say is. The modern songs generally 110 to 130, but I rounded it to 120, so it's easy, math makes sense, and you guys can see the clear split. And why is this important? Well, because we're pretending that we actually have a music track in here. And when we get into the value curve lessons, it's important that you see these timing tracks, because they are valid and relevant to the things that you might be doing in your sequencing whenever you're programming and coming up with some of the really crazy things that you can see in xLights. So one thing I want to point out here, something that wasn't around in 2018, is this. This is the value curves. This is probably a good place to dock this. This is the value curves dropper box. Now you'll notice that I've got another. I had them listed right up here across the top, right? But you'll also notice that there is this here. This is another box that I have set here. This is called the color curve dropper box. And these are very similar. So whenever you see me applying the value curve dropper, just know that it works the exact same way within the color curve. So it's something very familiar and very easy that you can go in and make changes to real quickly. So what are value curves? Value curves are a very simple way. And let me go in here and we'll go into the mega tree, because that's where we're going to work. And we'll put that timing track over there. So if you have different views, you can always go into your display elements, and which is what I opened, and it opened on a different screen. And you can pull your timing track over here. And so this allows you to select different views and add your timing tracks to it. The master view always allows the new timing track to always be seen. I think pretty much it makes it available to all of them. I think, yeah, it does. It makes it available in all. But in order to do one that you've manually created, you have to physically add that yourself through display elements. And that's what I was doing. So we'll go back to Megatree, and you'll see we have our timing track set up. And you'll notice that tonight my goal wasn't to do a walkthrough with every instance and every case that you could possibly come up with to use a value curve. But I wanted to walk you through where value curves are found, what to look for, and what you can do with them. So one of the things that I want to start with is a value curve, and I'm going to deselect this timing track here. I'm just going to use the metronome timing track. When you're using value curves, what they basically are, and we'll just grab the on effect here, and I'll put it on the tree. So you see the on effect on the mega tree there, right? What a value curve is the ability to tell an effect setting or a setting in general to be at one point during the duration of the effect, and at a different point whenever as the effect moves through the time that it exists. So you can start an effect with a low number and end it with a high number, or you can start an effect with a high number and you can end it with a low number. So here we have, and I'm going to add a layer below here, a couple layers, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put a butterfly effect underneath. Oop, that was a pinwheel. I meant butterfly. Wrong key. There we go. Okay, so you can see here I've got the butterfly effect, right? And if I put this underneath it here, if I go and I see this, the on effect has a transparency mode, and I click on this reverse circle, this reverse arrow, that basically is your invitation to be able to use any one of the value curves that you've set up in xLights or the predetermined ones. Mine is very edited because I've been using value curves for quite a long time, but your list might be much shorter. There are a number, if you click on this value curve box, and not every effect has all of these as options. As you can see, the on effect only has it on the transparency here, the transparency slider option. And what I want to do for you is just show you the basic options that the value curve slider has whenever it's available to you. There are preset settings. Some of them work with music. One's here, inverted music, and it doesn't exactly go with the beat, but it picks out the intensity to which it should set the slider compared to what your numbers are that you set for it, the level that you set for it. There's one here for music trigger fade. There's timing track toggles where, and again, we're talking about timing tracks. I said earlier it's important to have timing tracks. Well, the timing track toggle is something I use significantly. Timing track fixed fade, timing track fade proportional, and then there's custom. And then there's all of these other ones here. So what I want to do is I just want to click on flat. And flat is going to be whatever your base level setting is for the effect that you're using. In this case, flat would be 0 because transparency is automatically set to 0. If we wanted to do something different, like ramp, we could use ramp. And ramp would automatically be start level low and level high. And with that being said, we'll just go ahead and click OK. And this is what you can see happens whenever you manually change or whenever you put a value curve on this. Now, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go in and I'm going to add another timing track. And I'm going to do a metronome because you can see this is going to happen real quick here. And I don't want it to happen real quick. Let's go metronome. And I want to do 1,000. We want to do 8,000. I'm going to modify this so it looks like there's a set of bars. And if you're familiar with music theory and you understand that there's songs that are 4/4 timing and music that is 3/4 timing. 3/4 timing would be like it's the most wonderful time of the year, and it's a 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 song. That's it's a 3/4 timing. There's 3 beats in a measure in that song. If you have just, the monthly song this month was a 4/4 timing. So there's a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a very even beat, but you can tell the difference between 3/4 and 4/4. The reason I'm telling you this is I'm breaking this down into a section, and you'll see here in a second, where I can now zoom out. And if I deselect the 500 millisecond timing and I go with the 800 millisecond timing, now I have a much longer area to work with. And over time, it's easier to sequence larger blocks than it is a bunch of these little blocks, as you can see. But I wanted to show this to you because depending on the song you're working with, it's going to be very helpful to select timing tracks. And I know that I really didn't mention that tonight was about timing tracks, but it's because of the value curves that noticing that your beat timing track, whenever you create that through the Audacity Vampire plugin, will play a huge part in your ability to convert things whenever you're working within the value curve screen. And what I mean by that is this. If we now go in and select, since we've stretched the effect all the way out to here, and we have the on effect, and clearly we've set the transparency with the value curve from low to high. So that means from the low point of the effect, the early part, it begins to, value curve wise, become more or less transparent. It's becoming more transparent as time moves forward. So this is how value curves are generally really helpful to us. Now, the on effect isn't the best example of this, possibly. So let me give you another effect that is probably a much better use case. I mean, even if we look at the butterfly effect, if we go to the background chunks here, if we just do the slider, the slider looks very chunky. It has chunks to it. That's the slider. It's background chunks. If we put a value curve on this, such as we saw earlier, which is this ramp, or we go up here and we activate the ramp, you can use, these are shortcuts. You click OK. Watch how it goes through the chunk motion of every one of those from start to finish. As it starts and it runs through the entire effect, then it recycles back to the beginning. So if I was playing it, it would look like this, where you have some less chunks at the beginning and then more and more and more, or it changes over time. Now, this doesn't seem really helpful. Not a whole lot. It doesn't seem very helpful at all. But what I will say, now I guess I should put this up here for right now, but I will say this. If I were going to come in here with, let's say, the pinwheel effect, which would be, there it is, the pinwheel effect. And let's go ahead and make it, you know what, we'll do this on the matrix. There we go. So here's the pinwheel effect. And let's try a different value curve. Maybe this is something that is going to be a little bit more interesting for some of you who are sequencing. So here, instead of flat, let's do a ramp, or we could do a ramp. That's a ramp that was. Let's do a ramp up and down. And so what this is now going to do is it's going to start at the low end of the range. The start level is going to be 0. So whatever is the start level, which in this instance is thickness, we're going to start at the lowest level, or the 0 level, and then the mid level halfway through it is going to be the 100. We'll leave it at the high point. And then the low point, the end point, is going to be 0 again. Now, you can manually change these. You can set these to exactly where you want them to be. Maybe you want it to start out mid-range, go up real high, and then go shrink all the way down halfway through it. Let's just kind of, ballpark that. This is what this would look like. So it starts at the mid-range. It's getting thicker. Now it's getting thinner. It's getting exponentially thicker. It's thinner, and it gets really tiny at the very end. So there's the thick, and now getting really tiny at the end. And then it recycles because that's what xLights does. Now, does that make a lot of sense to folks? You know what? I did not even open up my chat window. So if you have questions, go ahead, throw them in chat. YouTube, I do see YouTube too. Preaching Pixels, shout out to you for commenting on YouTube. He says, I learned basic value curves last year when using different DMX moving heads. Very helpful. Absolutely. Probably the number one place that I use moving value curves is in the moving heads, because it actually does a fantastic job. You just have to know what the limits are in your moving heads. That's all. So, that's kind of way up there for you guys can see that. Okay, so let's do another value curve, a different kind of value curve. We'll take it off of the thickness. I'm also going to do, let's change this to a sweep. You might get a little bit of a different look depending on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. I'm going to add 3 colors in here so you can see them, so they kind of all go together there, and so you have some good resolution. Let's go ahead and use one of the different ones here on the thickness. Let's do something called sawtooth. Now, sawtooth is basically a breakdown that allows you to give yourself a start and an end point a couple times through it. And if you're familiar with the ramp, we did the ramp, which was up, and then we did the up, the fade in and fade out, or the one before this, which was called the ramp up down. Now sawtooth is ramp up, ramp down, but it's multiple, so it looks like a sawtooth. And now if we go down through these sliders here, you're going to see that we can change the number of times this cycles inside the value curve. So basically, we can say, oh, I want my fan blades to, and that's where we selected the thickness. I want my fan blades to go from nothing to really thick to nothing. So nothing down here to really thick to nothing to really thick to nothing to really thick. And we can go ahead and click OK. And if you watch here, this is what's going on. And it just starts over at the beginning. And so the hard part of this, and I'm going to do this now too. I like to put an off effect here so you can see the start and the end, but I've shortened it so you know it's going to end somewhere right along here. So if I hold this underneath of here, you'll see it from the beginning. There's sawtooth 1, sawtooth 2, and sawtooth 3. You see how it gets nice and thick. Now we can augment that a little bit. We can take that off of there, and we can do the same thing. I don't want to do it with speed. Speed's really weird. Let's do it with the twist. If you're familiar with the pinwheel effect, a twist is nothing more than twisting it one way or another. And so what we can do here is we can use the sawtooth, and we can have it sawtooth, let's say 4 times. And let's make it a little bit thicker so you can see what's going on there. And so this is kind of the fun that you get to have whenever you play with value curves. Now, again, how do the timing marks play an important role in this? So this is where, whenever I deselect this bars timing, where you have 8 beats all kind of conglomerated together, now we can go down to a little bit more specific dialed in number into the beat timing. And if we open back up and we look at the sawtooth blade here, we can see that it starts at -180 and it ends at 180, and we're doing it 4 times. Now notice that we've selected a timing grid that has a span, a long span, the entire length of that effect there. If you take that effect and you set that timing with those timing marks are now transcribed onto the value curve screen. If there is anything that you should learn tonight, if you are sequencing, this is probably one of the things that can help you come up with some really neat little things whenever you're making something bounce to the beat of the music. Now, as long as these timings are set correctly, you have to depend on that, or maybe you manually set them yourself. But if we were listening to music, this could be beating to the sound of the music exactly for every one of these beats. And what that would look like is 8 cycles. So it's down 1, up 1, down 1, up 1. Now, what would that look like? Well, it's going to look really quick. And that would kind of be doing one thing and going to the next thing with the beat of the music. So this isn't really a huge secret. This is just something that's been in xLights for ever since value curves have been enabled. Actually, the thing that wasn't in there was the timing marks, and those got added surprisingly. I want to say 2019 or 2020. But with the timing marks, that's definitely a kick up. Something that is very, very simple to kind of come up with. Now let me show you. This may not be timing mark related. This is single strand related, but there are some value curves that we can go mess with over there. I'm going to go and no, I'm going to put this on the mega tree. Single strand. There we go. And I'm going to stretch this out. One of the things I want to show you is if you have a timing mark selected and you click and drag, xLights should be able to. There we go. See that little tagline there? See that little 16CR1? What that means is if you click and drag and hold, it will give you a tooltip that tells you how many cells that you have selected. So I know right over here, if I put a little timing mark there, and then I not timing mark, but I put my marker there, and I set the effect to the end there, that's exactly 16 beats. So in a 4/4 timing music, the single strand effect, it's rather familiar for people to recognize this. Now you've got 16 beats. If you wanted your single strand to bounce left and right across the mega tree exactly 16 times, you could do something like this. If we go to chase type and we call this static, and we call this static left right, static left right puts the start of the single strand at the 0 position, which is here. And if we go to 100 or 99, we'll do 98. See how it put it over here? So from 0 to 100 is from left to right. So if we put a value curve literally on here to go from 0 to 100, you can manually have the single strand slide itself from the left to the right. Now, if any of you are xLights users and have used the single strand for years, you're going to sit there and say, Clyde, that was stupid. Why would I ever do that? I could just open up my metronome track, my bars track. I could put a single strand down, and I don't need to do that. I can just do a single strand left to right. It does the same thing. Well, you're 100% right. But the thing that you can't do with the cycles in the single strand is tell it exactly where to be when you want it to be. So this was a huge thank you to developers for adding this, because this is something that I was really excited to add in. There's a couple little things I want to share with you. One of the things I love is one of our later Zoom members, he'll be in later tonight possibly, he added this in, and I'm very excited about this because it's a great addition. What fade type in the middle here, and if I make this a little thicker, it keeps the center real bright, but it fades the outsides. I really like that. I use that in a lot of my programming now. But what I want to show now is where this static left and right really comes in handy whenever you're trying to do a value curve of some sort. So what if we were to select our sawtooth? Okay, now 5,000 or 500 is not the number we want. We want to go with 100, and we want to go with 0. So now it's going to start at the 100 mark, and it's going to move to 0 and then to 100. Okay, so now it's starting at the right, and it's moving to the left. Well, that's exactly what we told it to do because it's a value curve. Now, again, you're going to sit there and say, but Clyde, you can already do that. You can come over here and you can say bounce from the right and then make it cycle through 2 times. You can do the same thing. Oh, and you want to make it look fancy, add the middle, make it a little thicker. There you go. Okay, you just did the same thing. So my point is that there's more than one way to skin a cat in xLights, right? There's always multiple ways to accomplish things. But one of the things that you cannot do with the single strand is to offset them. Meaning you can't give it start from the middle and bounce to the negative middle. You can't do that. So now it's going to go around the tree, and now it's going to bounce back and forth. So for those of you who have 360-degree mega trees, this is a really cool feature because now you can start your effect in the center, have it appear to go the whole way around your tree, and nobody will be ever the wiser that you did that. So just again, another fun thing to keep in mind. Now, I'll also at this point do the exact same thing I showed you earlier, which was let's open up the value curve and let's count. We switched our timing tracks. We're now looking at that 500 millisecond or the beats timing, if you will. And what if we went and did? We wanted to cycle this time 8 times this way, or maybe 4. 4 is a little bit more realistic. So now you're pretty much bouncing back and forth to the beat of the music. Now, oops. I think I made a boo-boo there. Let me fix that. Sawtooth, we did minus 50 and 50. And we did 4. There we go. Okay. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into layout. And this is my mega tree. Let's go into the mega tree. And we're going to make this 360 degrees. So now we go into 3D. You can see it's 100% 360 degree, right? And now if we look at this and we go at the house preview. There we go. From a 3D standpoint, being able to do that, that's really kind of cool. Because it looks like it's continuing around there. It's the best it's the best thing that you can do. Yeah, I mean you can mess around with adding a second thing to it, and that's really cool too. Like you really can't tell that it's not all in one doing the same thing. So again, if you're trying to do special stuff in xLights, this is one fun way to go ahead and do that. Let's play with another one of my favorites, the spirals. Everybody has everybody likes the spiral effect. One of the things I think many people are going to notice whenever they see the spiral effect in my sequencing, it's usually hidden. I think the spiral effect is the overused effect in xLights because it's the easy go-to effect. So the way I think about sequencing, I don't like people to know absolutely by looking at how I sequence something. I don't like people to know how I did something. I like to keep people guessing. So I always come up with different ways to make an effect look or stand out differently. And that's my goal whenever I'm sequencing. So here is our 16 beats. There we go. And one of the things that you can do, let's make this a little bit more skinny. And then let's add another spiral to it. So we have 2 spirals. Now we have the spiral wraps. Now if we use the spiral wraps here, this is where you give it a different angle on the spiral. And you can get it going the opposite way on the spiral. So one way's one and one way's the other. So what you can do with the value curves here is we can use our sawtooth. Let's look at some of the other ones. I really didn't go through all of the options. And it's you need to really play with this because there's a lot that you can get into whenever it comes to these. Parabolic down, that starts at the high point and parabolically goes down and then goes back up. You can always you could try that out and see what that looks like. So basically it's going from the beginning, it's twisting it from one extreme to the other. By the middle, it gets from one extreme to the other. So here is your twist point and here is your twist point. Here is your reverse point. So where it's reversing and going back to where it was. Now, if we went back to, let's say, the sawtooth method again, here's the sawtooth. This is a shortcut. We can come up here and I can grab the shortcut sawtooth and drop it down here. And this is what I talked about earlier. You can add the sawtooth in. You can give it the certain parameters that you want it to have. Let's say it's -3 and +3. And you do that, and look at, we've got 16 beats selected, so maybe we put 8, maybe we put 4. And this would be how you could get your spiral to dance. And if you ever catch me doing this, fair game, this isn't something I usually do. So if you see this in a sequence, that I put out, then I had to fight myself to do it. So because this is so easy to do, I think anybody should be able to do this, and it's very easy. It looks good, but a lot of people overuse it, so I try to avoid the spiral effect at all costs. That's my mantra, I guess you could say. Okay, spiral effect aside, it's not. I love the spiral effect. Don't get me wrong. It's easy. It's easy to get wrapped up in always using it. So, another effect that is quite useful to having value curves is the shader effect. If we go and browse, let me go into my Pro layout and we go to shaders. These are shaders that you could download from the xLights. I don't know. I'm just going to grab one here. Hex Play. I don't know what this one is. So usually shaders are very well known for not being able to control them. One of the things that the developers did was they added a time speed, so you can slow something down if it doesn't. If it's going too fast, it really doesn't look like it's doing anything. You can zoom out, and that doesn't help much. Maybe it helps if you zoom in and you can see a little bit more clarity of what's going on. Not so much in this case. And then we have different options here. Intensity. Let's change the intensity here. That just looks like brightness. We can use xLights color palettes in this one. So this is one that's modified for xLights. We've got green there. If we want to make it brighter, we can go to the color palette here. We can make it much brighter. Well, that's quite a bit brighter than what it was before. And we can begin messing around with what happens if we put a sawtooth value curve onto that. This isn't the most interesting one. Let me go find another one. Something that's a little bit more cosplay. Cosplay is fun. And let's switch over. Let's paste this on the matrix. It'll be easier to see. There we go. Cosplay is a good fun one. I don't think the color is in this one. If you want to change the color of a shader and it's all white, first of all, let me bump this down back to 100. And we'll scroll down here and we'll change the saturation. You change your any shader that's white, you can always change the saturation. And then now your hue slider changes the color for you. And from the center point here, and again, here's a value curve that you can mess around with. You want to change the color throughout it and have it go between a colored range or bounce from one color to the next during the time period. You can have it do that as well. We can make some changes here to the dot size of 0.01, and those get a little bit thicker. That's not real helpful. So that one's a little bit more, let's make this much bigger so you can see it really good. There we go. You should be able to see that good and big now. So we'll go from 0 to 3. We'll put a value curve here. We'll do a ramp up and down, and we'll do this from 0 to 0.10. We'll do 0.3. And click OK. So value curve wise, you can see it getting real thick there, and then it goes to being really much thinner and fading out. So it's interesting to play with some of this stuff. Here's iterations. There's not as many iterations there. You could play with some of these other ones. Logarithmic from a lot of them to very few. And you see how they're kind of fading out or sparkling out. There's less and less as it gets to the end of the effect. Let's see. I don't know what amp does. All of the shaders are great, but the reason why I really bring this up, for shaders is you have to know what each one of the shader slider does, but you have to do that on your own. And just putting a value curve on it sometimes is all you need to do. And just having that value curve there can get it to do something that it wasn't doing before. So it's a lot of fun to mess around with the shaders and just grab one. So this one here, this is a sine wave 2. This might have been something that I created a while ago. and I'm just dropping it on there, and I'm getting it to do some crazy dancing, and it's just moving those sliders. And you're not going to know what it does until you put something on it. So if you change the slider out, or change the value curve out, then that's quite important as well to see what else it can do. I want to go and show one more, because I think there is another effect that I absolutely love using. The value curves on. Is this it? Yeah. So I've been messing around with the picture effect. And one of the things that the developers did add, this is a late add, I want to say it was last year or the year before, that they added was the ability to put a value curve on the XY and have some sort of an image move in a very specific direction. So let me search for an image real quick, and I'll do something fun with it. Images, where's my images? There it is. Did I put one in there? Yeah, a present. A present. Look at that. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, just a very simple image. If I opened up this image in Paint 3D or Paint, Microsoft Paint, I'll actually do that. You can see here, it's not a really big image at all. I probably drew this by hand with just square little blocks of color, and I painted it. I really didn't do anything fancy. So this is a very small image on a very big matrix, on a P10 matrix, if you will. And I want to show you that there is a lot of fun that you can have with the value curves in xLights. So if you wanted this image on the and a lot of the effects have these. This is the x-axis. You can move the effect from left to right, and if you can see here at like minus 53, it's almost off the screen. So it begs the difference would be at 55, it's almost off the screen. So if we wanted to scroll this manually across the screen, have the prop go from the left side to the right side, we could select this ramp, but this half ramp. And so we already know our values are minus 55 to plus 55. And so now you can have that effect, present in this case. I really hate that in Windows 11. And then you can do this too. So this here's a little Easter egg for everybody. You can do fun things with your buffer settings, and you can create and copy and paste and put a different one up there. If again, I'll show you. We changed the hue here, and you can have your present a different color than the other present without having to go in and change the image. So having a little bit of fun with colors and doing stuff. But you can do some really crazy things. Now, what about the X? That's the X-axis. You can do the same thing on the Y-axis. I'm just going to grab this sawtooth, and you can kind of see, oh, look, this present's it's tracking right along with the other one because they have the same value curves, but now one's bouncing in one direction. What if we give it, the other one, the opposite value curve? So now you have them kind of crossing paths with each other. And you know, one of the fun things about value curves isn't that xLights can do them. It's what can a value curve do to an effect inside xLights, and where can you put this to work? Just using some of the basic tools that we talked about with the beats and the bars. Understanding, the ability to open them up and kind of look in here and see, oh, I can line these up and I can do different things. This really hasn't been any kind of secret. It's just been out there for a long time. And tonight has actually been a really good opportunity to kind of share and revitalize the information out there for value curves. So I have nothing else that I really want to go through on the value curves. I mean, we could talk for hours on all of the settings, on all the effects. Every single effect has, almost every effect has a value curve somewhere hidden inside of it. But it'd be almost impossible to go through all of them. So if you have any questions, we're going to open this up and we're going to switch over to our open mic night session. We do have a guess the sequence drawing, which I'm going to quickly finish the drawing names and get that set up. So if you want to jump in the PPD Zoom Room, you're welcome to join us. As always, if you are watching and you catch this tomorrow, which is Wednesday, tomorrow's the last day, join the PPD Sequence Club. It's awesome to be in the club. You get 1,000 free pixels when you join the annual membership right now, today, or tomorrow, which is tomorrow's the end of it. Tomorrow's the 5/7, which is the last day for the contest, or not the contest. 5/7 is the last day for the sale. So 1,000 free pixels. Join the club. It's $359.99. It does renew annually, and we'd love to have you in the club. Guys, have a wonderful evening. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comments. If you want to see other things in the videos, let me know. I'm happy to do that. And as always, thank you so much for joining us. This is Clyde and Robert, if you're there. Thank you very much for getting us out on Facebook. Robert, thank you for getting us out there. And if you have any questions, jump in the room. We're happy to answer them. Take care, and goodbye for now.